Hello and welcome back to the War. I'm Guépratte Major, and this is a review of the Tier 4 American tech tree battleship Nevada, which is in early access and will be researchable in the next patch. Now, from the shipping forecast, this is a Tier 4 and 5 game of domination on shards. On the enemy team, we have a Kamikaze, a T-22 in Icarus, Collinsburg in a division with a Konig, a Aoba, a New Mexico, and a Visor. Spawning on the center left, which is not a favourite spawning location of mine, but we're just going to have to deal with it. And already seeing a broadside battleship, I believe. Anyway, so USS Nevada. She's the lead ship of the Nevada class battleships, which consisted of Nevada and Oklahoma. Oklahoma is a Tier 4 premium, which is available through the Bureau, and her review will be carded top right now. So Nevada was commissioned in 1916, and she did serve in the latter months of World War One, working out of Southern Ireland, doing convoy escorts of usually American troop and supply convoys coming over from the other side of the Atlantic. She was also present at Pearl Harbor at the opening maneuvers of World War II between Japan and America, and she was one of the only battleships which was able to get underway under her own steam, and she did try to make a break out of the harbour. She did come under attack, and she was hit by numerous bombs and torpedoes. Thankfully, she didn't sink in the channel. I think that was the biggest concern with the Nevada making that move, because if she sunk in the main channel, she would obviously hinder any kind of manoeuvres in and out of the harbour. So what ended up happening was, after being hit and put in a critical situation, she did beach herself, which did mean the channel stayed clear when the Nevada did eventually sink. And what that also meant was that she was salvaged. Following salvaging, she was refitted. There's a photo of her refitted, I'll show that now, where she's equipped with loads of 5-inch gun turrets, which is quite nice. However, we don't have that version in the game, which is a little bit of a downside, I guess you could say. And after being refit, she went on to serve as almost like a coastal bombardment ship. She did some operations in the North Pacific to start off with against the Japanese invasion of some of the smaller islands up there near Canada and Alaska. She then went over to the European theatre, where she carried out bombardments as part of Operation Overlord, that's D-Day in Normandy, and also Operation Dragoon, which is the invasion of southern France. So that's quite interesting. She then went on to serve in the Pacific Theatre, carrying out naval bombardments of Okinawa and Iwo. So, in comparison to the tech tree Tier 4 battleships, what's the situation? Well, survivability, you have an average base HP of 48,200, which is average enough, isn't it? Now, you have the second lowest HP pool of only 65,336, which is a bit of a downside. Torpedo reduction, you're looking at being average with a reduction of 18%. When it comes to the armor scheme, it's always best to go back to the port and take a look at the armor scheme there. So here we are, back in the port, taking a look at the armor scheme of the Nevada. As per always, starting off with the bow and the stern. This is only 19mm of plating, so it's only really able to ricochet low caliber, high explosive shells. Not exactly something to be proud of, I guess you could say. So when it comes to, say, brawling against other battleships, they're pretty much going to be able to punch straight through that. So don't go bow tanking or stern tanking. You're going to have to angle this ship, and so when you're looking at angling, it's a little bit deceiving, because obviously we have the torpedo bout. The torpedo bout is 25mm thick. This can ricochet 14-inch shells very nicely. However, if you move that, you'll see that we have something a lot thicker behind that on the main armoured bow. Jump into the superstructure, a little bit unconventional, but as you come to expect, the superstructure is very thinly plated apart from the command citadel. So basically a area of the ship which is susceptible to HE spam and low caliber armour piercing shells. The same can be said with the upper armoured bout and the deck. is this one here. That's 19mm, and there is a bit of 25mm there, but as you can see, most of the upper deck and the upper belt is this thinner armour, which does mean that you will be susceptible to high explosive spam. So high explosives will probably be punching straight through unless they are 102mm or less, is the best way to put it. So let's take that away, and we're starting to see the meat and vegetables of the Nevada. Jumping onto the turrets and the barbettes, pretty much your standard stock stuff. Lots of very thick armoured plating, especially on the armoured fronts of the turrets. So that is quite good, and it's good to see the barbettes go all the way down. So all in all, reasonable armour. It's all down to RNG. The upper armoured belt, which is also the part of your ship which does contain the turtle back armour scheme. Now this has a very thick outer armoured belt, which is very helpful, 343mm down to 273mm. That's basically going to ricochet anything, which is quite sturdy. You've also got a deck on that, which is 127mm, so that is going to help with anything that maybe does punch through the upper arm belt, but that only really matter if you get up tiered and come across something with 15-inch shells. So again, that's just highlighting keeping it angled. Just remember, you don't want to angle too much one way that they can punch you in the nose, so you've got to try and keep that almost like that perfect 45-degree angle if you can do that. Taking that away, we can look at the Citadel. Now the Citadel isn't as well armoured as the outer armoured belt. You're looking at about 15mm to 38mm all over. The 50mm will be able to ricochet pretty much all AP and 8-inch HE, whereas the thinner armour, which is it's located on the bottom, so that doesn't really matter actually. So yeah, the Citadel seems to be quite reasonably well armoured. It is slightly turtle backed as well, which is quite helpful, and is very low in the water, so actually probably quite a nice Citadel. It is quite long though. It is going from all the way up front all the way astern, but that's something to bear in mind. Also, the rear of the Citadel is not well armoured. It's armoured against 14-inch shells, but nothing more. And at the very front, you do have that nice bit of very thick plating, so that might assist your survivability when angling while facing the enemy. Well, that's the Nevada, so let's go back to the game. Welcome back. So, moving on to the artillery. She's equipped with 10 14-inch guns mounted in 4 turrets. So she's got 2 treble gun turrets and 2 dual gun turrets. So A turret and Y turrets, the very most forward and the very most rear, are treble turrets, whereas B and X turret are both super firing, which means they can shoot over the turret in front of them, and are dual gun turrets. Now these have the shortest range for the tier, which is 14.6 kilometers. They also have the second longest reload of 34 seconds. I still don't think I can reach. I might be able to. Let's have a chance. Now she has the second slowest turret traverse of 60 seconds per 180 degrees of rotation. Regarding the shells, she has the third highest HE shell damage of 5,000, an average fire chance of 30%, and the second highest AP shell damage of 10,300. When it comes to the DPMs, she has an average HE DPM, below average fires per minute, and the fourth highest AP DPM. That New Mexico looks like it's AFK. I've got a kamikaze up front, so we'll just see if we can kill him with some overpowers. And we should be able to dodge those 2 torpedoes. Maybe work over the cruiser. Interesting. Going on to Maneuverability. She's the slowest. I think that's one of the largest issues I have with this new tech tree, is some of the speeds. It's one of the reasons why I don't really play the American battleships that often. She's slowest at 20 knots. Third smallest turn circle of 610 meters, so that's good. Average rudder shift of 13.4 seconds. When it comes to concealment, she is the best by sea. You're looking at 12.9 kilometers base. She's also best by air, which is 10.4 kilometers. Regarding when it comes to firing from smoke, you are looking at being pretty much average, with a detectability of 11.3 kilometers. Going on to the consumables, obviously she comes with the generic American damage control party. This has a 20-second duration and an 80-second reload, so it's got that slightly longer duration than some of the other nations that you kind of come to expect, I guess you could say. Now, when it comes to the repair parties, she has 3 of those base. These will heal 204 HP per second for 28 seconds. That means each repair party will recover 5,712 HP. Now, this has a 80-second reload as well. Oh my, we have the Icarus as well. Better launch that aircraft and see what's going on. Now, when it comes to the other consumable, she can either have 3 catapult fighters, or she could have 3 spotter aircraft, or she could have 3 enhanced secondary targeting. Okay, well, we'll switch our guns this side then. Now, as always, down in the description will be the commander build and the modules. Modules wise, I've taken AA Guns Module 2, reason being is obviously just due to the prevalence of aircraft carriers at the start of this patch. Furthermore, commander build wise, I've tried to do something about that speed. So I've got Dewey, rank 14 legendary 2. Skills, no fly zone, Crisscross, Velocious, reaching out XXL, and fully packed. Inspirations wise, we have Fraser level 16 legendary 4 and Guépratte level 16 legendary 3, which means I can get a top speed of 22.8 knots with a common battle booster at the moment. I might be able to improve on that a little bit, but it's not going to be much more. Quite a quiet game, 20 hits on target, getting 2 kills, defender ribbon, and shooting down 2 aircraft, only 39,000 damage, and coming way down at the bottom. But that just seemed like to be one of those games where it all just happened somewhere else, and I think it's one of the reasons why I have an issue with these slow battleships, because you can't ever seem to be in the action. If the action's somewhere else, good luck trying to get involved. It's one of the reasons why I've taken reaching out XXL, is just if I can't get there, maybe I can reach there. But in this game, it just seemed to just all happen very quickly somewhere else. Economy wise, walking away with 78,000 credits after a ship service cost of 19,200, and that is with a premium count. So not a bad credit earnage, but nothing special really. It's not been a special game, but we've done the review and that's what matters. But if you have enjoyed the review, feel free to give it a thumbs up, and enjoy this content, feel free to subscribe. I'd like to say thank you to all the subscribers. Down in the description is all the usual stuff: command build, modules, email address the channel if you want to send in your own game captures, and also the link to Patreon if you want to support the channel on Patreon, as it is a non-monetized channel. Until next time, I'm the Guépratte Major, and back to the port.
Hey, hey, clear the way, here comes the galloping Major. Bumpity, 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 bump. Get out of the way there, you fellows, unless you want me to run you down. I guess this is the life. Now, hey, hey, clear the way, here comes the galloping